This tiny Greek island, Ikaria, is famous for something extraordinary. It's one of the world's blue zones. That's a place where people are said to have somehow discovered a way to live longer lives. It's an idea that's fueled a global obsession with longevity. But behind the promise is a much harder question. Do people here really live longer? Or has the world turned Ikaria into a story it desperately wants to believe? I've come to Evdilos, the unofficial capital of the north side of Ikaria, where I've hired a local guide to help me understand the island.
Janice, come on in.
Christos is 23 and runs a local tour company. He moved back from Athens in search of a slower, healthier way of life, like the one he says helped his great-grandmother live to 116.
I just wanted to have a simple and healthy life, a happy life, like my grandpa, my great-grandma used to live, and also a big family too, to connect it with each other.
How far back do the family roots go here?
I knew only back for my 5th generation or something, 5 generations back.
For centuries, Icarians lived high in the mountains, hidden from pirates and danger. Life here was hard, marked by poverty, famine and isolation. And out of that came resilience and a way of surviving together.
It's a very simple island. Icarians always had the simple life, simple clothes, walking, diet, having fun. It's very, very simple here. The main difference is that the Western civilization is chasing material things, chasing to look rich, to buy rich things like a car, like a big house or stuff like that. Here we are already rich. We have nature, we have the good diet, we have a strong community, friends and family. We have the whole package that Ikaria provide.
The idea of longevity hotspots began in Sardinia, Italy, in the late 1990s. Over the next decade, it spread to 4 other places around the world. But for many Icarians, longevity doesn't feel like a secret. It's just life. And Christos has offered to introduce me to someone who's been living it for more than 90 years.
Beetroot or
Pazaria.
Beetroot, yeah.
yeah, beetroot, yeah.
George is a retired sailor and avid gardener.
Squash or pumpkin.
Κολοκύθια.
Pumpkins, yes.
Pumpkin. And the herbs up here?
To this.
Oh, to taste?
There.
Okay,
This is
okay.
nice.
Okay, you do, you go on, take me. Oh my gosh, it's so fresh and strong.
Even
Fantastic.
I like the morning. I drink
You drink the mint tea. Does that keep you healthy?
very.
Oh.
Maybe for that I.
So how old are you? How old?
92. 92.
92?
To-
You look amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do all this gardening yourself?
All day.
All day?
All day.
At 92, George is still growing his own food, keeping up with the community and staying out late at Icaria's famous local festivals called Panegyria.
Many people living to 100 years old. How do they do it?
No stress. No stress.
Ah.
That's important.
Okay.
Important. Είναι το να τρως κανονικά, όχι πολύ, όχι λίγο, να τρως αυτό που χρειάζεται και όχι παραπάνω. Και να κάνεις καταχρήσεις. Μια μέρα συνάντησα ένα κύριο στη Γαλλία και μου λέει μια λέξη, γερνάει όποιος θέλει. Και το θυμάμαι, δεν το ξέχασα ποτέ, γι' αυτό.
So, George, you have friends of all different ages, from young to 106. Is that common around here?
That's the beauty of this island. We do not have a gap generation over here. We're going to a festival, Panegyria, as we call it, and you can see it even with 5 years old, 100 years old.
No,
We hang out all together. We have a strong community here,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, a unique thing
Right.
in our island.
I go every time he has Panegyria,
Yeah.
I go.
You go and
Start-
dance?
start- No, that's now. the food.
Okay, okay.
I stay all night.
All night, really? Does that keep you young?
Maybe, but not.
Maybe.
Maybe because I like the girl. The pretty girl likes it.
Oh my God. These men are very cheeky. So, George,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for me? What should I eat or drink for long life?
A glass red wine.
Red wine?
In my wine.
Really? That's a secret to long life. Oh,
Yeah,
it would be rude to say no.
you can.
Yeah, let's do it.
A cornerstone of Icarian tradition, homemade wine is a staple in most households here.
Is this wine that you've made?
Yeah, yeah,
This is wine that you've made.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
bring it on.
You see,
The vine's out there.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
welcome.
Oh, thank you, George Yamas. This is great.
Pleasure.
Pretty good.
It's very pure.
It is, isn't it?
In Australia, old age can often mean separation from the community.
Λοιπόν, Γιώργη, θα ξανάρθω. Και άμα θες καμιά χάρη, ζήτα τον πατέρα μου το
Thank
τηλέφωνο.
you. Bring it in.
But at 92, George is still an active participant. And maybe that's why age feels different here. People don't disappear from community, they remain part of it for longer. Like Rika, 84 years old, still running her own restaurant and growing most of the food for it.
Είναι που έβγαλα τις πατάτες από εδώ. Κάτω στο μαγαζί. Αυτές είναι πατάτες. Εδώ και εδώ.
But Rika's days aren't just full of work,
Είναι βλήτα.
they're full of people. Do you ever get lonely?
Όχι, γιατί δουλεύω. Έχω, πώς το λένε, ασχολία και δεν... είμαι με τα παιδιά μου, με τον άντρα μου. Εντάξει.
Do you think it's important to have friends and family always visiting?
Ναι, ναι, ναι. Μοναξιά δεν είναι καλή. Να είναι και το μυαλό καλό και να είσαι κοντά στους δικούς σου, στα παιδιά σου, τα εγγόνια.
For Rika, staying well means staying connected. And now, as she considers retirement, she's beginning to accept the limits that come with age.
Οι δυνάμεις μου βλέπω ότι με εγκαταλείπουν σιγά σιγά. Σιγά σιγά θα το πάρω απόφαση. Η καρδιά δεν κερνάει. Το σώμα μας εγκαταλείπει. Καταλάβατε. Το σώμα. Η καρδιά δεν κερνάει. Είναι η καρδιά όπως ήμουν 19 χρονών. Παντρεύτηκα. Αλλά το σώμα σε εγκαταλείπει.
The idea of growing old with spirit, even as the body gives way, is part of what drew the world to Ikaria in the first place. In the early 2000s, National Geographic writer Dan Buettner, working with European researchers Michel Poulain and Giovanni Pes, popularised the Blue Zones idea. They revealed places where they said unusually high numbers of people were living into their 90s and beyond. The idea was that life was shaped less by genetics and more by lifestyle, food, movement, purpose, and community. Over the next 2 decades, Blue Zones became a global phenomenon, fuelled by books, products, retreats, and influencers.
Back to day 4 of my Blue Zone lunch series where I show you
Buettner was part of that rise, founding Blue Zones LLC and helping to build the idea into a lifestyle brand. For Ikaria, the Blue Zone label helped turn a poor remote island into a holiday destination, bringing new income for islanders like Christos.
Today, most of the tour is gonna be in the mountain.
He shows visitors an island that feels untouched.
This is the Icarian house, 5-star.
And along the way, he gives them a taste of the island's traditions.
It's lucumadas with honey and cinnamon. It's basically a ball of dough that we fry it, and then we put local honey, cinnamon, and it's ready. It has
But the Blue Zone effect doesn't stop there. Dan Buettner's claims have helped turn some local products into wellness superfoods.
Rats that consume this honey have lower rates of dementia, which may explain or may help explain why in Icaria here, they have the lowest rates of dementia in the world, probably above.
He claims that older Icarians eat honey at least once a day, and it's helped turn bees into big business.
Πλέον με αυτή τη διαφήμιση που έχει γίνει, όχι άδικα για το νησί, δεν έχουμε τις παραγωγές για να καλύψουμε τη ζήτηση που υπάρχει. Δηλαδή όσο μέλι βγάζουμε, διατίθεται άμεσα. Έχει αυξηθεί τρομερά η δουλειά μας. Πουλάμε από ό,τι πουλούσαμε πριν τη μαγκροζωία, πουλάμε 3-4 φορές περισσότερες ποσότητες πλέον. Υπάρχει τεράστια ζήτηση για το μέλι της Ικαρίας.
So it's been good for business.
For sure.
So if that Blue Zone label disappeared tomorrow from Ikaria, what would that mean for your business?
Εμείς υπήρχαμε και πριν τη μακροζωία και θα υπάρχουμε, θέλω να πιστεύω, και αν τελειώσει κάποτε αυτό, νομίζω ότι θα υπάρχουμε ακόμα, γιατί εμείς ήρθαμε πριν τη μακροζωία και θα φύγουμε και μετά, νομίζω.
And as more and more ordinary parts of island life are packaged as longevity secrets, some critics are asking whether the science behind the Blue Zone's claim is strong enough to carry the weight of the story.
The whole idea of Blue Zones is built on unreliable data and heavy marketing. The easiest way to live to 100 is lie about your age.
From his office in Canberra, Dr. Saul Newman has made a career out of investigating claims about the world's oldest people. His issue isn't with Icarians themselves. It's with the records that are supposed to prove these extraordinary ages.
We don't know who the oldest people in the world are. We just have no idea. And when you say, oh, there are these regions where people live past 100 at remarkable rates, the best explanation is governments not writing things down correctly. You know.
Saul's research uncovered flaws in how some extreme age records are verified. And in demography, this is the fight at the heart of extreme age claims. Even strong paperwork can still leave room for doubt. The original researchers behind Blue Zones would say they went to a place like Ikaria and they'd point to painstaking verification using church records, municipal ledgers, chronological birth registries that are very difficult to manipulate after the fact. Why are you questioning that?
Historical precedent, because we have had again and again people who have claimed to be the world's oldest person. And this is supposed to be the most intensively validated cases in the world, and they have that evidence. And they routinely turn out to be wrong. If you had a room full of 100 real centenarians, 100 real 100-year-olds, and they all had their paperwork, and you took one of them and swapped them for a younger sibling or a younger relative, how do you detect that one person? The answer is you can't. There's no method, right? All the paperwork is valid. It's all real. There's no machine that I can take someone to in a hospital, put them inside, and it says, oh, they're 42, right? Oh, they're 105. There's no such thing. So if the paperwork is consistently wrong, we just have no idea.
For Saul, bad age records in Greece aren't hypothetical. They were a national scandal.
The debt crisis in Greece has reached a new milestone.
After the 2008 global financial crisis, Greece was on the brink of collapse. Tough new austerity measures designed to tackle the country's debt crisis. Officials audited public spending, including old age pensions, and found more than 9,000 people listed as centenarians. Their test was simple: prove you're alive. Nearly 3/4 vanished. Thousands existed on paper, but not in real life.
The Greek minister involved said that at least 2% of the Greek population was engaged effectively in pension fraud. Now that's 1 out of every 50 people. So the incentive is simple. It's a check every month for your pension, or more correctly, for your parents' pension. And in these very poor parts of the world, that is a huge bonus.
For Saul, the real Blue Zones pattern isn't extraordinary longevity. It's poverty and poor records in places where age is hard to verify.
Now, if poverty and hard graft are the secrets to living to old age, why does that go away when you move somewhere that has good records, good healthcare system and higher wages?
What do you reckon happens?
Well, there's no, the pressure to commit pension fraud disappears, doesn't it? It also raises the difficulty of committing that pension fraud.
I just want to ask you, like, really plainly, do people in Ikaria live longer than people in other parts of the world?
No.
And how do you know that?
The Greek government and the EU government measure average survival and late life survival in these regions, and they are not remarkable. They're not even remarkable in Europe.
It's a confronting claim for the island whose global reputation has been tied to longevity by the Blue Zones idea. So I took Saul's criticism to Fanouros Kouroutsos, the mayor of Ikaria.
Bros, hello.
Hello, Mr. Fanouris.
Καλώς ορίσατε. Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Janice.
My name is Fanouris.
Fanouris, hello. He has a very different view of the island's records and what they prove. Were births and deaths recorded consistently here?
Από το 1900 υπάρχουν και τηρούνται βιβλία. Μπορεί σε κάποια χωριά να διέφευγαν κάποια ονόματα, να διέφυγαν κάποια ονόματα που δεν τα δήλωναν αμέσως οι γονείς, ήταν σε λαγκάδια, σε βραχοσπηλιές, αλλά υπάρχουν και τηρούνται.
And would that have been the same with deaths?
Όχι, γιατί στα πιστοποιητικά του θανάτου λογικά γινόταν άμεσα η δήλωση για λόγους σεβασμού καταρχήν στον εκλειπώντα και έτσι σε αυτό δεν υπήρχε ποτέ περίπτωση να γίνει λάθος.
In 2012 there were concerns around pension fraud in Greece. Was that ever a problem here?
Όχι ποτέ, δεν υπήρξε τέτοιο παράδειγμα και τέτοιο κρούσμα. Όχι.
Some people suggest that Ikaria doesn't deserve its reputation as a blue zone because of bad record keeping. What would you say to them?
Όχι, ξαναλέω ότι και έχουμε στην πραγματικότητα μακροζωία και αποδεικνύεται και από τα έγγραφά μας. Λυπάμαι που δεν μπορώ να σας δώσω πρόσβαση γιατί δεν το επιτρέπει ο νόμος.
Now that the pension system in Greece is fully digitised, it's a lot harder to make fraudulent claims. But on Ikaria, claims of exceptional longevity are still everywhere. This is one of Ikaria's many village cemeteries, and like the island itself, the headstones tell a mixed story. Some died young, others lived long. Wow, 109. These gravestones tell us when people died, but they don't say anything about their health or how they lived. The Blue Zone story often focuses on food, walking and community. But the World Health Organisation's longevity data points to something less romantic: healthcare. So if people here are living longer, I need to understand what happens when they get sick. Dr. Grigoris is Ikaria's only orthopaedic surgeon, and he knows the limits of island medicine.
This is the X-ray department, and this is a mammography. Ophthalmologist, cardiologist. So this is my office. Sorry about the mess. We're a little cramped.
I can see that,
So we don't have enough room for the boxes.
Fair enough. So how would you describe the healthcare system here on the island?
Well, we have limited resources. I mean, let's say a lot of specialties, we have only one doctor. That means that whenever he wishes to take some days off, the island is without that specialty. Even the building is not appropriate for a modern hospital. So we're trying with the best, with the means that we have.
There are a lot of older people here on this island. Can the healthcare system support their needs?
In many aspects, yes. Not everything, for sure. Let's say that a hip fracture, that we can operate it here, but the aftercare is up to the family. We don't have an organized physiotherapy department. So if it wasn't for the social part of Ikaria, the family and the neighbors, it will be difficult for an older person.
In other words, family and community are often responsible for filling the gaps left by this small island hospital. And the lack of resources raises questions about the broader claim from Dan Buettner and his Blue Zones business, including those of lower rates of dementia, cancer and diabetes on Ikaria.
Some people say there are very low rates of things like dementia, depression, diabetes here in Ikaria. What's your experience?
I wouldn't say that, no. Diabetes is common enough in Ikaria. I believe that it has the same rate as the rest of Greece. And about dementia, well, let's say that it's somewhere in between. I mean, when you have one neurologist in Ikaria, so the population was not scant enough.
So you're saying that it's impossible to really know what the rates are if you're not testing for it?
Exactly.
Behind any claims of extreme old age, there'll always be questions, exceptions and competing truths. And the deeper scientists look, the less simple the story becomes. Studies suggest genetics account for roughly 25% of lifespan, but reaching 100 appears to be far more inherited, closer to 50%. It complicates the Blue Zone business promise. In Sardinia, Italy, where the first Blue Zone was identified, initial research there put longevity down to a condensed gene pool, rather than lifestyle factors.
It's incest. They said the secret to longevity is breeding with your cousins. Now, that didn't make it into the cookbooks for hopefully obvious reasons. It's completely unique to Sardinia. Now, why wasn't this promoted as the secret to longevity? Because you can't sell it to Californians or presumably anybody else. And it just sort of highlights the absurdity of this process where someone breezes into town, and even if the longevity stuff was true, how did you derive the cause exactly? How did you decide it was not incest when that's what the scientists initially said? And how did you decide it was something completely marketable? This is the most beautiful part about the longevity industry. No customer complaints. You could sell anything, and if it doesn't work, what are you going to do?
It's my last night on the Greek island of Ikaria, a place now synonymous with longevity. My guide Christos is taking us to one of the island's famed panieria.
It's a traditional local festival made from the locals, the villagers of this particular village. It's called Neia, where we are.
With locally grown food and wine and an army of volunteers, it's an age-old tradition built around social connection. You mentioned the strong community ties. How much does that play into leading a long life and a very fulfilling life?
I think to talk with each other, basically the whole communication part, it's helping a lot with our mindset. It relieves a lot of the stress, a lot of the pain of our heart, basically. So I think this is the most important to me. Maybe we will have a new friend, create a new friendship, or even
something more.
Something more, yeah. your love of your life, probably.
Amazing. It
Who knows?
Could be a big night, Christos.
Who knows, yeah.
While the party continues to build in Ikaria, no one seems too worried about the fight over its longevity story, raging far away on the other side of the globe. Some of the data that you're drawing on, though, to try to debunk the whole notion of blue zones, some of that research is still in preprint.
Sure.
It hasn't been peer reviewed.
The paper has been peer reviewed. There are 9 peer reviews, which is triple the normal amount, and has passed those peer reviews.
Hasn't been published in.
Hasn't been published.
Why do you think it hasn't?
It's too embarrassing. You know, this has been the most popular idea in demography for 20 years.
Behind the data and the debate on a night like this, you can see that older people aren't being pushed to the fringes of everyday life. They are vital, they are valued, they're right in the middle. And perhaps that's the real lesson. Not adding more years to your life, but more life to your years. And maybe the bigger mistake was thinking Ikaria had something we can take home with us.
It's a way of life here in Ikaria. It's not something that you have to take it from here and bring it to your home. It's impossible. If you want to live the way of the Icarians, you have to live in Ikaria.
The original Blue Zones researchers have responded to Saul's work and stand by their findings in Ikaria. Blue Zones founder Dan Buettner declined an interview. A spokesperson for Blue Zones LLC directed us to published material defending its research. The company says it does not consider Saul Newman credible and argues that Blue Zones research has reshaped global thinking on longevity science, shifting the focus from genetic predisposition to lifestyle factors. They say Blue Zones research is grounded in over 20 years of peer-reviewed demographic work, and that a study published in 2025 directly validates our longevity data and research methods.